The Oscars decide to not fight the tide and officially not care about whether AI is used in the making of movies or not. Welcome back to the AI Daily Brief Headlines Edition, all the daily AI news you need in around 5 minutes. Well, in a real sign of how things are evolving, the Oscars officially don't care if filmmakers use AI. The Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences recognized AI for the first time in rule changes published this week. Their new official stance is that AI won't impact the chance of a nomination. They wrote, "With regard to generative artificial intelligence and other digital tools used in the making of the film, the tools neither help nor harm the chances of achieving a nomination. The Academy and each branch will judge the achievement, taking into account the degree to which a human was at the heart of the creative authorship when choosing which movie to award." Now, for people outside of AI, the biggest rule change that grabbed headlines was the fact that Academy members are now required to watch all nominated films in each category to be eligible to vote for them. Of course, the joke here is that people couldn't believe that that wasn't the case before, but there you have it. But anyways, back over in our corner of the world, the changes around AI is a big relief for filmmakers who are experimenting with AI techniques, as earlier this year, the Academy was reportedly weighing a disclosure requirement. This year's Oscars featured controversy around the films Emilia Perez and The Brutalist. Both films worked with AI voice model company Respeecher to modify actors' speech. Emilia Perez used the technology to expand the vocal range of the title character, and The Brutalist used AI to tweak the Hungarian accents of the lead actors to make them more authentic. Editor David Jansko said that he had first attempted to use traditional methods of automated dialogue replacement to switch in the voices of native Hungarian actors, but, quote, "that just didn't work, so we looked for other options of how to enhance it." The Brutalist was critically acclaimed in part for its authenticity and received 10 nominations. Adrian Brody won the Best Actor award for his AI-enhanced performance in the film. Skating completely under the radar during the controversy was the fact that Dune Part 2, which won for Best Visual Effects, made extensive use of AI in their VFX process. Now, honestly, the Academy's stance is fairly bold, given the Hollywood strikes and the high-profile consternation around AI in cinema. In a way, it's simply a recognition that AI is nothing more than an extension and refinement of existing techniques. In some areas, there isn't really a bright line distinction between the latest generation of AI tools and the existing processes that were already industry standard. Cristobal Valenzuela, the CEO of Runway, posted, "The Oscars being okay with the use of AI for filmmaking is not only a step in the right direction, but also one that recognizes this technology as a tool that requires an artist to articulate a meaningful way of using it." Nicholas Newbert, the creative director of Runway, added, "Now there's nothing standing in the way of a movie using generative AI from winning an Oscar except for its creator's imagination." And basically that seems to be what the Academy is saying, that they don't care what kinds of tools are used to achieve the result. They only care how well the filmmaker's creativity and craftsmanship is expressed in the final work of art. There's definitely more and more of this discussion happening right now. A content creator who has in the past worked with superintelligent Min Do wrote a piece recently on LinkedIn called "Why Hollywood Should Lead the AI Renaissance and Not Fight It." It's a good articulation of where at least some of this conversation is turning. Although, of course, I don't want to overstate how broadly this is. The Oscar stance is extremely controversial, and there are lots of people in Hollywood who are not happy about it. Moving on to a very different topic. Right now, testimony in the Google antitrust lawsuit continues to make headlines, with the latest being OpenAI declaring that they'd love to acquire the Chrome browser. On Monday, DOJ lawyers asked the judge to force the divestment of Chrome, stating, "We're at an inflection point. The court has an opportunity to remedy a monopoly that has controlled the internet for today's generation and restore competition for decades to come." In yesterday's testimony, Nick Turley, the head of ChatGPT, was asked if OpenAI would be interested in buying the browser if the court orders it to be spun off. He responded, "Yes, we would, as would many other parties." Turley stated that a native integration of ChatGPT into Chrome could fundamentally change the internet, adding, "You could offer a really incredible experience. We would have the ability to introduce users to what an AI-first experience looks like." Touching on the anti-competitive issues in the market, Turley discussed OpenAI's issues with distribution. He said the company has made some inroads with integrating ChatGPT into the iPhone, but has been unable to make any progress with Android-based manufacturers. Earlier in the trial, as we discussed yesterday, it was disclosed that Google had paid Samsung a, quote, enormous sum in January to integrate the Gemini assistant. Turley acknowledged that Google's deal wasn't exclusive, but said that OpenAI struggled to make headway in negotiations with Samsung due to Google's ability to outspend their efforts. He added, "It was not for a lack of trying. We never got to a point where we could discuss concrete terms." Touching on the competition for search, Turley said that OpenAI's goal of building a super assistant and achieving AGI won't succeed without search technology, but Google has so far declined to partner with them. He testified, "Search technology is a necessary component. You can't have a super assistant that doesn't know the current facts or makes things up." Turley didn't directly reference the company's partnership with Microsoft, referring to them only as provider number one. However, he said that OpenAI had, quote, significant quality issues with the search information they provided. It became clear over time that it was not viable to depend on. It was at best a near-term solution. One little piece of information was that it turns out that OpenAI has actually been working on their own search index since early 2024, with Turley stating that the company aims to use their own index 80% of the time by the end of the year. He acknowledged that the task was frankly overly ambitious and estimated it would take several more years to achieve. Part of the issue has been websites limiting traffic to OpenAI's web crawler, which isn't mutually beneficial like Google's is. Turley said Google can outspend us or offer more traffic to these partners than we can. They have way more queries every single day. Now, this all may sound like, well, yeah, of course, you'd like Google to make it easy for you to compete with Google. But the testimony is significant, as one of the remedies suggested by the DOJ is forcing Google to share their search index with rivals in order to break their monopoly over the market segment. I'll reinforce the same point I made yesterday, that whatever happens, it's going to have a deterministic impact on the shape of AI in the near future. Lastly today, more restructuring of Apple's Siri team as new management is brought in to fix the beleaguered product. Last month, former Vision Pro lead Mike Rockwell was brought in to take over the project, and Bloomberg sources suggest that Rockwell is now clearing house. They said that he's replaced much of Siri's leadership with lieutenants from his Vision Pro software group, and is also restructuring teams related to speech understanding, performance, and user experience. Bloomberg reported new leads for engineering, user experience, and underlying architecture all joining from the Vision Pro project, with additional software engineering talent being brought in from the Core OS team, which handles iPhone software as well. Bloomberg writes, the moves show that Rockwell is either demoting or replacing the prior managers in charge of Siri engineering. Whether this all works remains to be seen, but at least it's not nothing. For now, that is going to do it for today's AI Daily Brief Headlines edition. Next up, the main episode.